Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to another exciting episode of the General Gaming Show. I am Bridger, General Gaming at your service. We have a great show for you today. We're talking all about shooters. Third person, first person, side scrollers. Well, side scrollers not exact. Well, we kind of are talking about, so it might as well be side scrollers count as well. As I said, I am Bridger. Glad you got a hold of the program, however you may have found it. Tell a friend or two, won't you? Give us a subscribe or a like if you enjoy it. Rook's watching. Thanks, Rook, in the chat. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is where you can find us. We record live there. And then we've also, of course, got the podcast for the audio versions, which I haven't been keeping up on, but I will. Don't worry. Getting that done tomorrow, but that's good. So, also joining me, I have Brett. Welcome, sir. And you are out of phase. There we go. Fixed. Welcome. Say it again.
How you doing?
There we go. After I unmuted you. Also joining us is Army Knife. Hello, sir.
And for the oh wait, no, that was the old show.
That was the old show.
Yeah. Hi guys.
Before I lost all hope for everything. I think my entire problem is I joined the NC. I'm pretty sure that was a mistake.
Maybe they should just name Planet Side 3 A New Hope. Or 4.
That really would be good. All right,
a Realm Reborn, maybe?
A Realm Reborn?
Hey, it worked for Final Fantasy.
It did. All right, so we've got, like I said, a ton of stuff to talk about with you guys today, whatever. If you're in the chat, you get to say stuff. There we go. So Will I's in chat. Hello, Will I. We are going to be first talking about what we're playing, and then we're going to talk a little bit of news, and then jump right into discussions on shooters. You know, what's our favorites? What's our favorite recently? Which ones were like milestones in our personal gaming career? What were our favorite moments from various shooters? A lot of good stuff to talk about. So let's jump quite in. What are we playing recently? Rob, I know you're playing Mercenary Kings. That's like a Contra game, yeah?
The way I would describe it is multiplayer online Metal Slug with crafting.
Okay, that still doesn't explain anything to me, but go ahead, keep going.
Alright, so Metal Slug was this great old side-scrolling shooter. It was kind of known for having these really awesome bits of pixel art and just being super fun to play. This has added, it's not just Metal Slug, there's a lot more on it. I think you could see there, I was looking through weapons crafting a bit. And you actually get to put together your guns in this game one piece at a time. So you pick a receiver, which is the base of the gun that kind of picks what it is, whether it's a submachine gun, a shotgun, what have you. I'm using a revolver right now. And then you get to pick like bullet type, the stock, the barrel, the magazine. I think there's 6 different attributes that you select about a gun to kind of customize it exactly to your liking.
So, I mean, you can make guns that shoot multiple bullets, guns that shoot single bullets, things that shoot lots of little bullets, single big bullets, lot of ammunition, little ammunition. They have, like, trade-offs?
Yes, so more ammunition generally gets you less power. Bigger bullets can only be used in certain kinds of receivers. Like, you can't throw magnum bullets inside of a submachine gun. It has to be either a shotgun or a handgun.
So why would you use a pistol, for example, instead of an assault rifle? Like, what advantages does it give you?
Weight is the main advantage of lighter weapons.
Oh, okay.
Plus, you can have relatively large magazine sizes with pretty good power. So, for instance, the gun that I'm using sets me at the second slowest speed, so I can't jump as high or move as fast as somebody who is using a smaller pistol.
Oh, that's
or
an
even
interesting balancing mechanic.
Even a submachine gun. And there are, in fact, some missions that we've run into that you can't complete if you're too heavy, because we had to do this move where you, like, roll off a cliff and then go back really quick, and you're just not fast enough unless you have a light weapon.
Huh. Interesting. So that does look like a lot of fun. Where can you get it? That's on Steam, right?
It's on Steam. It was a Kickstarter at its conception, and fun fact, what's the guy's name who created Adventure Time? Pendleton Ward. Pendleton Ward backed enough to get himself as a captive in this game. So there are certain missions that you go on where you have to rescue captives, and you can find and rescue Pendleton Ward, and then he hangs out in that little base camp that you saw at the beginning.
All right. Chat is saying there's something screwed up with the video and the audio. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but we'll see. Can you guys clarify? But let's move on. So what have you been playing recently, Matt?
Recently, I have been playing Payday 2, which for those of you who have been living under a very large rock, is a combination heist stealth game, horde mode, four-person cooperative shooter with randomized set piece elements and multi-day missions and a huge weapon modifying crafting system and also huge mask modifying crafting system. The first Payday was a lot of fun, and it definitely had its kinks and its quirks, and all of those have pretty much been worked out with Payday 2, except for the AI. You better be playing with people because the AI kind of really suck, especially if you're trying to do stealth missions. But really, the game kind of follows the heisting moments of the film Heat, and then they just built off of that. So if you've ever watched the movie Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, when they go into the bank and things are going smoothly, you absolutely have those moments in this game where you've got your ECM jammer down, you've got your mastermind who can fire really loud weapons to make people in a radius get the hell down and stay down, and you're cable tying everybody, and you're on your way out to the loot truck with all these bags of gold or something that you just stole from a bank, and somebody on the street sees you and calls the cops, and suddenly all hell breaks loose and you have a giant shootout on your way out. It's a fantastically fun game, and the shooter mechanics are sometimes a little loose, but generally they're it's a lot of fun. And I mean, they have level references to all sorts of things. You've got one level where you are cooking bags of meth, and yes, the meth turns out blue.
So you have to wait a minute. You're doing that on the level? That's the objective?
Yes, the first day of the Rats mission is to cook bags of meth, while the cops are assaulting the house that you are cooking the meth in. And yes, if you fuck it up, you can blow up the entire house. So in addition to that, and then you take those bags of meth, you have to get them back to the loot truck in the middle of police attacks and take them the next day to gangsters to trade, and you can totally steal them back from the gangsters if you want and betray them after they've given you the money and the intel.
Absolutely.
And then on the 30, so it's got all sorts of really fun, clever missions like that, and you can totally play it. Just, get some friends together. It's got a wonderful way of teaching you the game as you play it, because it's got a progressive leveling skill system.
It did do that. I played it a little bit, and it did. I don't know. I guess it was too slow for me. I got I got frustrated. I was like, I want to do the cool stuff. Why can't I do the cool stuff? It's like, nope, you're not high enough level yet to do the cool stuff. I was like, fuck you. I'm leaving. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. My mouse. I'm taking my mouse and I'm going home.
So the way that they do that, though, is they restrict from you a lot of the more complex mechanics and force you to fight your way through most missions as you're learning the basics of how to interact with hostages and cops and how to try to stealth things. And as you unlock new mechanics, it allows you, and you unlock new missions, too. You learn how to do more complex heists and how to stealth the ones that you've already been doing. And it's just a wonderful creative lots and lots of fun, especially if you've ever wanted to be in a heist. I've also been playing PlanetSide 2, of course. The Black Square is still going strong. I can't remember if we already had our 1 year. I think we have had our 1 year birthday already. And I've been playing some Dark Souls as well, because I finally got it working on my PC.
Ha! That sounds like an achievement. I heard that it wasn't very well optimized for PCs.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so let's go on to the news then a little bit here, and then we'll jump into our main topic. The most exciting news for me is that we finally got a release date for the beta of Planetary Annihilation. For those of you that have not heard of this, this is the game by Uber Entertainment. They did Super Monday Night Combat and Monday Night Combat and something else very important that I don't remember what it was. But either way, the concept of this game is that you have an entire solar system as the stage for an RTS game, where you're fighting over planets, but at the same time you're able to move from planet to planet and build up so that, in StarCraft you have like a base and then an expansion base on a map. In this case, you have like a base on a planet, and then you build a base on a moon, and then you put rockets on that moon, and you fly the moon into your enemies. I mean, that just sounds awesome. You can't possibly go wrong. Here, for some reason, fabricating units on the moon and shooting them into your enemies sounds like a much better plan than just fabricating them on the ground. This is the concept video for it. It's been in alpha for a little while, but it looks really cool, and I hope that it follows through on all the promise. We're going to find out on September 26th, I think, is the correct date for the beta. So if you participated in the Kickstarter as one of the lower level people who purchased the game, you should get access to it. So this does look like a lot of fun, and I hope that it winds up being as cool as it looks. It might just be fun just to play it. So anyway, we're looking forward to that. And what else is happening? Mighty Number 9. Rob has been talking all about this. This looks like, for anybody who liked Mega Man, Mighty Number 9 is the kind of game you want to check out.
Yes. So one of the guys who used to be a project lead on Mega Man for Capcom, Inafune-san, left and created a company called Concept, and Concept is having a Kickstarter to raise money for Mighty Number 9, which is a spiritual successor, I guess you could say, to Mega Man.
There you go. Well, it's already raised $2 million. That's
it's
more than double its goal.
Yeah, it's super well funded. I just wanted to, fairly popular. Just wanted to bring it to light so that anybody who would be into that kind of thing doesn't miss out on the chance to get in on the Kickstarter. The updates have been really great. They're keeping people involved about the design process, the way they're iterating over bosses, the way they're thinking about enemies and the mechanics of the game. So if you're someone who likes game design or someone who likes Mega Man, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with this Kickstarter.
Excellent. All right, let's jump into our regularly scheduled topic. Shooters. All kinds of shooters.
But I have one quick thing
for
the news, because this is really awesome, and I don't know if everybody's caught it yet, and I only just found out about it, and it's still been fairly recent news that not everybody has heard of yet. Homeworld. If you remember, Gearbox bought the IP. They are re-releasing Homeworld 1 and 2 in HD. And those of you who have heard of Hardware Shipbreakers, you remember that nice little reveal trailer that they did? It felt a lot like Homeworld, but set in a planet, and it's a land-based RTS, and it's from all the old developers of the original 2 Homeworlds. They left Relic, and they went to Blackbird Interactive. Gearbox is freaking amazing because they've gone to Blackbird Interactive and said, okay, here is your IP back. Change Hardware Shipbreakers into Homeworld Shipbreakers. So we have a new Homeworld game.
Yeah.
Finally.
It's happening. All those years when I was like a Relic fan, and I'm like, when's it happening? When's it happening? No, not happening. Finally, all it took was what was it? 2K? Or take,
no, it was
Take Two?
No, it was not Deep Silver. THQ.
THQ
going under.
All it needed to do was THQ to finally die. See, if they had just gone with a Homeworld successor earlier, maybe they wouldn't have been in this problem. That's all it is. All right, anyway, let's jump into it. So for the purposes of the discussion, I've got some footage here from Mercenary Kings I'll keep playing for you a little bit here, so you can enjoy that. And I've also got some Rome 2 I'll intersperse in there. Even though it's not a shooter, it's the only other thing I've been playing this week, so it's the only other new footage I have. But what we have here is a bunch of different questions I'd like us to sort of discuss. So we all have played, many shooters over the decades since, Quake and Doom. What were the major milestones in shooter games as far as you guys are concerned? Matt, what was, like, in your gaming life, what was the big titles?
So the big titles, I'll have to go with, actually there were a couple of really, really big ones. They were essentially the spiritual successors to Halo. I don't know if many people know this, but Bungie actually released a pair of shooters in the early 90s.
You mean the spiritual
computers.
Predecessors?
Predecessors, yes, sorry. The spiritual predecessors to Halo. And there was even some fan headcanon speculation that not only are they the spiritual predecessors, but the main character becomes the Master Chief. That turned out to be baloney, but who cares? That was Pathways into Darkness and Marathon. They were the first 2 shooters I ever played when I was very, very young. Pathways into Darkness scared the shit out of me. Marathon was just fun. And I spent summers playing Tribes 2 when I finally got it. It was just lots of fun. I loved playing some of the mods for that. Like there was a construction mod. It was my Minecraft before Minecraft ever existed. In the Half-Life 1 era, Sven co-op was a big deal. Just because it was a lot of fun.
I never played that. I heard about it all the time. It was on every website. Somebody's mentioning it somewhere about something, but I never played it. Were you just playing through like the original Half-Life 1 co-op, or was it separate things?
So here's what made Sven co-op so cool. Is yes, it was originally intended to play the original Half-Life in co-op. That's good enough. But then the modding scene, like the map making scene, took it and freaking ran with it. And they figured out how to modify the weapons so that they would have custom models and textures per map. So you just had to have the map packs. So they were like Mario themed levels. They had all sorts of crazy co-op levels with custom bosses and just ridiculous stuff. And it was a lot of fun because you were suddenly playing co-op on the Half-Life engine and all these disparate shooters and cool stories with awesome features that just people had thrown together. Half-Life 2 is another major milestone, as it is for I think most people who've been following shooters, simply because that kind of set the bar for the next 6 years at least in what shooters had to have, how they had to script their stories, the level of interaction with characters, facial animation. I mean, everybody and their mother has physics these days.
Yeah.
But just think back to the early 2000s when you saw that pachinko machine that they did and how your jaw dropped because there was no physics like that in any game before Half-Life 2.
Or you can pick up a saw blade with your, grav gun and shoot it at people and cut them in half.
Right about to say, and the zombie falls over and then keeps crawling at you, the top half.
Yep.
Oh, that scared the crap out of me.
Oh, man, you thought you had him, but you didn't. The thing that I always remember about Half-Life 2 is I never knew what the fuck I was doing. Like, I knew what I was supposed to do, but I never knew why or what the story was. Like, the story in Half-Life 1 is really simple and it's very clear. Like, you're okay, clearly some kind of other dimension gets opened, you're helping the scientists try and stay alive, and then all of a sudden the army's coming in and you're like, our heroes, and then they're like, nope, we're killing you, and you're like, oh shit, so now you're protecting the scientists from the army, and then you have to go to the other zone and blow up the big baby and save the day. I get it, okay, I got it. But then in Half-Life 2, you wake up, it's some kind of crazy future where there's some guy who may be trying to capitulate with the aliens. Like, is he like Vichy France? I don't know. Vichy, I guess. And some giant tower, and they tell me I have to go here, but then we just get attacked by things all the time, and I don't know why, and I just shoot the things that are shooting me, and then I finished, and I'm like, that didn't explain anything. What the hell just happened in this world? Damn it.
Half-Life 2 certainly raised more questions about the overall universe than it answered. Hopefully we'll get some answers with Half-Life 3.
Maybe. So so hang on. So Rob, what about you? What are your sort of milestones in your gaming life?
So I didn't start playing PC shooters until far too late in my life because I just didn't have a PC capable of running them until I bought my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I started on my crappy laptop with Unreal Tournament. I think maybe Unreal Tournament 2004.
That was 2004 was yes, that was the good version, I think.
Yes, and that game to me was so like I had seen first-person shooters before. I had played them on a console, but now here was a game where you not only like could whip all around the map and move fast and jump everywhere, and it was just total. It was like pure Twitch response time. You needed to do it, otherwise you were going to die. And the speed of that game, I think, is what prepared me to play every shooter that I've played since.
Yeah, is 2004 the one that because there was I think there was Unreal Tournament 2, and then like very shortly thereafter, I think it was Unreal Tournament 2004, which was much better. It had like all the content of the previous one. Am I thinking of the right one? Is that 2004? I'm almost positive it was. And it was way better. It had all the content of the earlier one, but all fixed and made better, plus a whole ton of other things, new maps and all kinds of things. That was the one with the ball mode, right? I don't remember what it was called, but it was like something where you got to take a ball from one side to the other. They try to make it like a sporting thing.
I don't know. I only ever really played
Just a death match.
Death match, and it was unfortunately way after most people were online, so you had to do all kinds of special things if you wanted to, still find a good group of people who were playing online, and I didn't have the capacity for it when I started up, unfortunately. So
Yeah, I really enjoyed that game back in the day. I definitely spent a lot of time there. For me, though, I think Quake Team Fortress was the thing during my high school life. I came home, I got in front of the computer, and I played Quake World Team Fortress until dinner. And then I had dinner, and then I got back on there, and I played either clan practice or a clan match. That was basically every day for me in high school, was Team Fortress. I know that I was missing Tribes 2 at the time because I was playing Team Fortress. Hey, Strizel, Rome 2's the footage I got, so Rome 2's what you're going to get unless you want to stare at my face the whole time, which I don't think you want. Listen, there are slingers in this. They sling things. That's a kind of shooting. But the other one for me was Battlefield 1942, because that's the other one that I remember just playing forever and ever, and just playing constantly. Like, you get home, you play it, you go to bed, you go to school, you get home, you play it, etc. Over and over again.
And there's nothing like taking a wrench to an aircraft carrier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That helps a lot.
Oh man, I did
I think
the same
that was
thing
my-
with. Sorry, I did the same thing with Team Fortress 2 when it came out. Except I was in college, and I'm surprised I made it out, given how much of my freshman year was Team Fortress 2.
And that was even before they added the hats.
Oh yeah, this was all in the good old days.
Pre-Manconomy. So what do you guys? There's got to be some shooters that you've played that didn't, catch on with everybody else, but you're like, if only.
So mine was this little shooter called Metal Arms Glitch in the System. Came out for the PS2, which was a terrible place for a shooter to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that consigned it to some kind of shooter hell.
Yes.
But you were this little robot named Glitch. And to give you an idea of the humor of this game, the two guys who take you through the tutorial level are named Screwed and Hosed. Like,
okay.
You're dropped into the middle of a war, you're told you have to fight, and here are Screwed and Hosed to teach you how to do things, and then an elevator falls on them right after they get done with it.
Oh, okay. Seems kind of like a what do you call it? Like a Ratchet and Clank kind of comedy feel.
A little bit, and there were a lot of neat guns as well to go with the Ratchet and Clank feel. The most important was that you had this little tether that you could use to hijack other robots. So any enemy, if you snuck up on them, you could use it as kind of a free life to run in, go guns blazing, and mess everything up, or just throw a grenade on the floor and blow up you and everybody else in a circle. It just had a lot of little things that contributed to the game feel. Like, if you meleeed a robot, you could disable their arms, but they could keep firing the things in those arms.
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget the time I died because I meleeed a robot's grenade arm, and then I see the grenade come out in its hand and ignite and start counting down, and it lets it go, and its arm is flying all over the place because it's running around. And it just so happened to throw it, like, its arm wobbled in my direction when it decided to let go. And it killed... Oh, and there was another time I meleeed a guy in his gun arm, and he starts flailing, and he kills everyone around him in a circle because the bullets in the machine gun are propelling it around and around.
That's fantastic. That's attention to detail.
It was one of those games that just put things in place and then let them happen.
Yeah.
And it was a great single player, like, sit back and kill an afternoon after school kind of game.
Excellent. Matt, what about you? There's got to be some game out there that you really enjoyed, but for some reason other people just couldn't see the wisdom.
I think that this one was relegated to the fact that it was a Half-Life 2 mod. We've all mentioned a few different Half-Life 1 mods, and they were hot stuff. I mean, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress Classic. The list goes on of wonderful Half-Life 1 mods. The Half-Life 2 modding scene never really took off with the same fire. I'm not entirely sure why that was. It may have to do with just the complexity of Half-Life 2 in and of itself. But there's this one mod called The Hidden. This mod was a team of players against the person who was either randomly selected at the beginning or the person who killed the Hidden in the last round. And the Hidden was using the advanced shaders that they built into the Half-Life 2 engine to become nearly invisibly cloaked, kind of like the Predator, but much harder to see. And the Hidden could leap onto walls and cling onto them and leap off of them, and he had a knife that he could attack enemies with or pig stick them and insta-jib them. If he didn't insta-jib them, though, he could totally pick up their bodies with the physics engine and pin them to walls and stuff. So you could make these hallways of horror for the enemy team. You could fuck with people so much with this game. And it just never caught on, despite having some of the most brilliant emergent gameplay. And it was a wonderful... It seems like a one-sided fight when you've got 16, 20 people all with guns and shotguns, and they're all on the same team and they're all after one player. But then a good Hidden could just annihilate every single one of them and make them shoot each other too. It was wonderful.
You know what that reminds me of? I remember watching Freelancer stream from Team Legacy when he was playing the Crysis 3, or was it Crysis 2? Beta? I think it was Crysis, because they had one guy that would be like invisible and he'd be, hunting down the entire team. It sounds almost identical to that game mode, and that does sound like a ton of fun. I really need to check in on that.
And you know what? Here's the other crazy thing too: is that it was so hard to see the Hidden in that game, and I got so good at it. I kind of just laugh at most other games' stealth mechanics. Now it's like Infiltrators and PlanetSide 2. It's like, I see you. I played the Hidden. You're nothing.
Fair enough. For me, I don't know if you guys ever remember playing a Half-Life 1 mod called Frontline Force. And I'm going to do a quick Google search because I haven't even looked this game up in forever. Oh, it's actually on Steam. Let me pull some of these screenshots up here for you guys. This is the quality. The Frontline Force mod.
Wasn't this the one that had the circle reticule that gradually increased for your fire?
Correct. And
I remember trying that one out.
The things about this game that made it fantastic, at least to me, was A, you had very specific objective-based gameplay. These little antenna stations that you can see in this screenshot here, these things were the main objective. And you had to go in, like the attacking team would have to go in and hack them. And hacking it took a couple of seconds and you were completely disabled, so you'd need your teammates to cover you while you were hacking the thing. And so the objective-based gameplay was really fun, and oftentimes maps would force you to do this one, then this one, then this one, and sometimes hacking a certain number would unlock, a forward respawn or something, so the maps felt very fluid. And the other thing about it was the fact that the game did so much to reward team play.
It was very focused towards team play.
Yes, to the extent that your character, when you were alone, got a lot of nerfs to your accuracy and recoil and reload times when you're all alone. Whereas if you have two other people with you, those debuffs go away. And that's designed to kind of simulate the concept of, your character is... Actually, whoa, there's a Frontline Force 2 mod on Steam. I gotta get this. Because that was supposed to simulate your character being like nervous because he's all on his own, whereas if you have people with you, he feels emboldened and protected and the morale is higher. And that meant if you tried to lone gun it, you would get your ass handed to you by other people. Even though the game had, very good twitchy type combat, they would be able to headshot you way easier and better than you would be able to headshot them if they had just one buddy within a certain radius. And then they would give you tons of points for killing an enemy who was in an objective zone, or capturing the objective, or just being near your teammate when he captured the objective. So the point system gave you way more points for doing team-based, objective-based things than if you were just, killing people. Getting a single kill was like 1 point. Getting a kill in an objective zone was like 5 points. It was like way more important. So I just loved what it did, and it felt really fun. It felt sort of like fast, a little bit slower than Counter-Strike, or actually, that's actually kind of around the same pace as Counter-Strike. Anyway, I really liked it. It was back in the day, and I did not know. Actually, hang on. This Front Life Force 2 mod was released in 2004. I don't think there's anybody else still playing it for the Source engine, but oh well. I can pretend. So let's go on to the next one. What are the recent shooters that you guys have played and enjoyed? Anything specific?
I mentioned a couple of them. PlanetSide 2, it's hugely improved from when it was released. Some people still don't quite like it. It's wonderful when you have, the full group of people to play with and bitch about the other teams too. DayZ, it's a little old at this point, but still, I would consider that recent and an amazing game. Still, you should try it if you haven't. Payday 2, I spoke about that, and Warframe. Do it on PC before it ever comes out on consoles, because there are some issues with movement on consoles compared to PC, where you can just slip, you can do a sliding maneuver and then flip and go flying across the map and start sliding, and it's insanely fluid. It's the kind of movement that Brink only wishes it had.
Yeah.
And it's got all sorts of cool abilities and amazing warframes, and it's free to play. And the only thing the only things that you have to buy, absolutely have to buy, and cannot earn in game are color sets for painting your warframe. Most people don't care about that, and some visual stuff for these little drones that you can get that will follow you around and shoot enemies and do abilities for you. And it's got beautiful graphics, especially if you have a PhysX card. Beautiful graphics. It's well worth checking out if you've got 4 friends or 3 friends, or 3 hostages. Make them play this with you.
There you go. I feel like maybe I should try that out. I mean, I kind of dismissed it because it was, co-op, and I'm like, nah. But it also seemed a little grindy at the time. It does sound like something that I could enjoy, but League of Legends, I'll just go play that.
Yeah, these people also, when they patch the game, I mean, they have their small patches, but when they really do a patch, they make the game significantly better, and they've added some really cool shit in the past couple of updates. I mean, you're talking about clans now have their own base in the game that they improve and pool their resources to research, and the research unlocks new weapons for them. So because it's got a whole crafting system too, like actual crafting that takes time and resources, and it's just a wonderful free-to-play game.
All right, so for me, I think I'm having a hard time because there's not that many games that I've really gotten into recently, but I guess the most recent ones that I can remember from a shooter point of view is BioShock Infinite and Alan Wake. Even though Alan Wake is pretty old, I didn't buy it when it first came out. I got it probably a year ago, maybe a little more than that. But I played it, and I really enjoyed the atmosphere it was creating, and I loved the way it told the story. Even if I didn't really like the way it ended, it felt a little unsatisfying. I really did like the elements of it, and the whole beginning and mid-game was just super enjoyable. So I definitely liked that. And BioShock Infinite, we did a whole show on why that was great. I mean, the shooting mechanics weren't fantastic. They were sort of generic, and they're pretty fun, but it was nothing to write home about in comparison. So let's see. Anything else? What go through your Steam library for a second. What shooter have you spent the most time playing? Because for me, I looked through and it's clearly Left 4 Dead by a long shot. Left 4 Dead 2, I think I have more than 300 hours on or something ridiculous. Let me do a quick check.
Even more than TF2?
More than TF2 by itself. And then if you add Left 4 Dead 1 in there, it's even more.
Well, I think if you add the Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 together, you almost get my TF2 time. Okay, Team Fortress 2, 369 hours played. Left 4 Dead, 153, and Left 4 Dead 2 254.
Wow, I feel a little creepy about my PlanetSide 2 time. 306 hours on PlanetSide 2.
Hey, I've got 101 hours on PlanetSide 2. I've got 101
The next
on
closest for me is Skyrim at 252, and then X3, Terran Conflict, because nobody knows about the X series.
there. Well, I'm thinking maybe they've made it better in the new one. I'm looking forward to that.
X Rebirth?
Yeah, I tried. I own all of the X3 stuff from Terran Conflict up to Albion Prelude or whatever it is, and every time I try to get it, I just, there's so many menus, and I stop caring.
Oh, yeah, I just deal with that, and I really love that game.
It feels like one of those games.
I'm the kind of person that Rebirth does not appeal to, because I loved all the variety of ships that you got in X3.
Yeah, the problem is it's just got such a barrier to entry that I could never get past it. I feel like that's one of those games, if I could ever like commit and just force myself to sit down like on a Saturday and just play it for 10 hours and just say, you're not stopping this. I don't care if you want to go play something else. Just keep going until you learn it. Then by the time I'm done, I'll be hungry for more, because now once you understand the systems, you can start to engage in them. It's the process of learning such a complicated game when you feel like nothing you do matters because you have no idea what you're doing or why you're doing it until you slowly learn it. But anyway, I'm sitting at 250.
And that's the kind of game that plays itself too, literally, for X3 and stuff. You can set up AI traders and then activate this thing that increases the game time to run it 10 times normal, and then you leave for the day for work and come back and you're a multimillionaire.
Progress quest. Progress quest. Mergen was asking about Hawken. I did enjoy Hawken. I like it a lot. It felt really fun. It has that sort of Twitch gameplay that I enjoy. I really liked the implementation that they had of the sort of how you upgrade your mech. Like, when you first get your mech, at least this is on the newbie mech, I don't know if it's the same with all of them, but the way that all of the slots that you normally are going to fill with special customized versions of the, reactor or the carburetor or whatever, you're going to earn those over time. But unlike PlanetSide 2, instead of starting without anything in those slots, you start with a special thing called a shiny brand new carburetor or a shiny brand new reactor or whatever it's called. And what it says is it gives you, 10% more X, but it diminishes as you get closer to level 20 or something like that. And then after level 20, it does nothing. So as a newbie, before you've earned all the stuff that goes into those slots, the little parts that start there are very effective, and they help you in these small passive ways. So that's not like you start with nothing. You start with something, but it diminishes in power over time, forcing you to replace it with stuff that you earned while you're playing. So you never feel like you're gimped. Compare that to how I started playing PlanetSide 2, and I jump in a tank and I see 3 empty slots. Yeah, you're going to have to spend 100 certs each on those slots, just to get something you feel effective there. And if you're playing against other people who have been playing longer, they already have like maxed out armor on the front and a maxed out shield on their Vanguard. And so fuck you, you're a newbie. You don't get anything there. Oh, that bugged me so much. So much. I went and purchased all of them. All of them I purchased because I have a problem
like that.
I have a problem.
Yeah.
Back to shooters.
You're part of the problem.
I am
more like
part
it.
of the problem. Back to shooters. Left 4 Dead 2. I've got 250 for Left 4 Dead 2, and the original Left 4 Dead's way down here at 72. Because I guess the improvements that were in Left 4 Dead 2 just helped me out so much. The fact that you couldn't do corner camping anymore. Once we figured out how to corner camp in Left 4 Dead, that game became so much less fun. Like, that's one of those games, the better you get at it, the less enjoyable it is. Because part of the fun is the scary, like, what's going to happen? Oh my god, we can't do this mode. And once it becomes easy mode, it's game over. But, yeah, Team Fortress 2, I've got 200 on there. So, I really enjoyed those games. I don't remember what the question is. What was the question? The most
I think we should-
replayability.
yeah.
That's what we were
Most re-
talking about.
Oh, it is? Okay. I didn't realize we switched to that because we were at enjoyed. So,
Sorry.
yeah, it's okay. Clearly, PlanetSide 2 has provided the most replayability for me, especially as they changed it, and that had a lot of that comes from having the wonderful community of players that I have. They're just a lot of fun. I have to shout out to the Black Square, Saints Row 3 and 4. I need to play more 4, but those two games, open
I never
world.
played any of those. Are they basically kind of like Grand Theft Auto type games?
So the first couple of Saints Rows were considered Grand Theft Auto clones. Saints Row 3, the third took it in a completely new direction. And so if Grand Theft Auto 4 is The Sopranos, then Saints Row the Third is kind of like The Sopranos as reimagined by Pendleton Ward and executed by people on mushrooms.
Okay.
It's just balls to the walls. It's ridiculous, and then they keep topping themselves. They keep getting more and more, and they somehow manage to do it for an entire game. I have never seen any game do so well at being utterly ridiculous and hilarious and topping itself continuously. And the gameplay is a lot of fun, especially in 4. Saints Row 4 is the best superhero game I have ever played. Yeah, it went
You
from
have
open
superpowers.
world crime shooter to open world crime shooter superhero game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I
that's the
saw there
kind of
was
ridiculous-
mods that let you beat people up with giant dildos.
That wasn't a mod. That was
That's
the
not
game.
a mod. That's,
Oh.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's
the
Super
game.
Dildo Man. I'm sorry. I forgot about him. It's also the only game that I know of that had a $1 million collector's edition.
It did for Saints Row 4. It did.
That's
It's also the only
ridiculous.
game that actually has a dubstep gun. Is 4.
No, that's
You
not
kill
true.
people with
That is
dubstep.
not true. PlanetSide
what's-
2 Vanu have a dubstep gun.
No. They changed the sound effect. It's no longer a dubstep gun.
Aw, man.
Yep. So nope. Now Saints Row 4 is the only game with an actual dubstep gun, and it's got a lot of customization, a lot of cool features. It's just it's. I didn't finish GTA 4. I have not played the other GTAs. That may have been my problem. Is that 4 had less of the ridiculous. But I've nearly 100%ed the third. I'm going to do as much of 4 as possible because I genuinely just enjoy these games, and I can finish them because I like them so much. And that's where I get the replayabilities, because in these open world games, you tend to have to do the same thing over and over again, even within the story. In Saints Row, they mix it up a lot more.
That's good.
But it doesn't provide the contrast. A friend of mine spoke to me, said why she enjoys GTA more than Saints Row, and for her it's because of the contrast between the serious world and the humor of it. I guess I just like Saturday morning cartoons. That's why I like this.
That's what it comes down to. All right, so we talked about a lot of different games. Is there a single game that provides when you look back and you think like, what was the best single player experience out of any of these games that I had? Rob, what's your choice?
I mean, we already talked about it a lot, but I got to go with Half-Life 2. I just remember starting to play that and the story going from like I know you had a problem describing the story, but I would describe it as like, oh god, we have to run the game.
Yep,
You
that
know,
sounds
it's
about
like,
right.
You
And
get
holy
settled
crap,
and-
is that a robotic dog?
Yeah. And then you get to relax for a bit. You're hanging out with your pals. Everything is cool. And then, oh god, we're under attack. You have to go to Ravenholm. Where's Ravenholm? We don't go there, but go.
Yes, it's pretty much, Trap City. So for me, I don't know if the portals qualify. Do the portals qualify?
You're shooting portals.
I guess so.
I would say that it's kind of a first-person puzzle game over a shooter. Though.
Yeah. I guess though, if we're talking, if they do qualify, I think they definitely slide in there. Otherwise, I don't know. It's tough for me to think of a game that has a single player experience that I like more than Alan Wake from the shooter genre. I think some of the best single-player games I've had recently were the Batman games, but those don't really qualify. Those are beat-em-ups. They're not quite shooters. So for me, it's probably Alan Wake or the Portals were the ones that I could remember having just an incredible time for the time I was playing it. Like, not replayability, discounting everything else, just like the actual experience. I just came away getting like, that was amazing, and I can't wait to jump into the next level or what have you. So what about you, Army Knife?
I had originally penned Mass Effect 2 for this answer, and then I remembered something that was far, far superior and that I really should have remembered, and I absolutely need to finish. I get distracted by all sorts of new stuff coming up in work and etc. But The Last of Us, brilliant game. Just the multiplayer experience alone would be worth the $60, but the single player experience, every single part of that, except for the crafting, is the crafting's a little awkward, but everything else is absolutely top notch. I mean, we're talking about the story that the game within the first 5 minutes, I was borderline maybe actually crying. And then the story execution, the voice acting, everything about it is so wonderfully put together. And the combat, it feels just as real as DayZ does, and more brutal because it's third person, and you have to, when you run out of ammo and you have to beat people and you have to ambush them and you have to run from zombies. You can fight them sometimes, but most of the time you have to figure a way around them. It's just a very, very hardcore, very mature, exceptionally well executed game. And it's a bit of a shame that it's exclusive to the PlayStation 3, because I think if everyone had an opportunity to play it, it would do so well.
It does seem like the kind of game that, for example, my wife would like. She loves like The Walking Dead. That sounds like it has a similar vibe to that, the sort of survival horror kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's especially horrifying for parents.
Yes.
Just going to put that out there.
I heard, there was a Penny Arcade episode where not an episode, a comic, where it's just him, like, sitting, getting up from playing the Left 4 Dead, and then just opening the door and looking at his kid. And it's just
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us, yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. And I was just like, damn, that wasn't funny. They just wanted to, that's just what it is.
That was a catharsis comic, and that's because this game is, if you haven't had a chance to play it, play it. Just, that's all I can say. Go, you have a friend with a PlayStation 3, either buy it and play it at their house, or force them to buy it and then force them to let you play it. Make them your hostages to play Warframe with you later. I don't care. Go and at least experience this game.
So let me see. What's next? From the best to the worst, what shooter have you been really excited about, but it then just let you down? What do you think, Rob?
PlanetSide 2, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'll put in the caveat of PlanetSide 2 when it came out, because I got disappointed really early and walked away and then never walked back.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people did that. I think they alienated a lot of players by releasing it way too early. I remember playing in the beta and thinking, man, this game's going to be really good. And then they announced the release date was next month, and I'm like, what? Are you serious? This game is like 8 months from completion at least. And here we are, like 9 months later, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of enjoyable now. Still not done, but pretty enjoyable. Oh, man, I just can't believe how early they released that game. Publishers are getting so... It bugs
Nobody
me.
ever accused Sony Online Entertainment of being a good publisher.
You're right. No, we would need to make that clear, okay? Nobody here is accusing Sony of being a good publisher. That is not an accusation we wish to throw around.
No, not lightly anyway.
No.
I don't want to blame Minecraft, but I almost have to blame Minecraft. Just because the model of release something incomplete, engage a community, and accept that, and try to get them to accept that it's going to get better as they go along.
Yeah, but at least they never. Maybe even it's just a definition of terms problem. But when they say the game is being released, it's done, it's coming out. What did it come out? 11/11, something like that. I think it came out in November.
They wanted to release it on a nice number.
Yeah, that must have been it.
sense.
Yeah, or 11 something like that. No, because it came out last year. It was the 12 something. So it was 11 something something. It was 11. I don't know. It came out last November, and earlier that year, it had been in beta, and it had made great strides. And just changing and saying we're done, even though they're not actually done, seems weird to me. The same thing happened with Rome. If Total War Rome 2 had come out last week, 2 weeks ago, September 3rd, as an open beta, and they said pre-order customers get access to the open beta, early access to play the game. If they had simply released it in exactly the same state and been patching it at exactly the same rate and said our release date is actually like November 3rd or late October and we're putting it out as a beta, early access for people who pre-ordered, then I think the community would not, they would, so much less headache. Nobody would be complaining about the game right now if it was acknowledged to be in beta and they were patching it. No, not one freaking person would be like, this is bullshit, I want my money back, because everybody would agree, okay, it's in beta. But when you call a game released, that means we're done. That means we're done with it. This is feature complete. Maybe it has some bugs, we'll fix those, but we're done adding things. And when you release a game and it basically is a shell of the thing you wanted it to be, and the developers say, yep, it's done, no problem, that drives people insane. So even though you knew PlanetSide 2 was getting new stuff, the kind of stuff they needed to add would take months and months to get in the game. And it's been months and months, and it finally has been in the game. For the last couple of months, I've been actually enjoying myself playing it.
And you know what? Just a weird example of what you're talking about was Arma 3. So they did a buy it in alpha or Steam early release. Mm-hmm. It was for $33 or something. It was cheap. It was for a $50 game. They were offering it with alpha access and beta access for cheaper than the final product. How in the hell does that not make sense to buy? Because even if you don't want to play the beta, you'll have the final game for less. Anyway, so they released it recently. They finished their beta release. They finished their alpha release. They released the game without any single-player content.
What?
How does this? Yeah, and they're going to release it in the process of 3 free DLCs for their single-player campaign. I know it's huge. I know Bohemia is a small studio, and I can kind of understand why they did. They wanted to get all of the features of the engine in the game complete and release it, but it still just sounds very weird. Like, I opened it up expecting to have the single-player, and it wasn't there. And I was like, well, I could play multiplayer, but I don't really feel quite like it. I wanted to spend some time learning all the new mechanics, all of the new actions, everything within the single player realm before I jumped into multiplayer. And I can do their little tutorial things, but those are not the same as a campaign that slowly introduces mechanics to you. And I wanted that, and I have to wait longer to play Arma 3.
You know, that's sort of the same thing that Payday 2 did, is I got into the game and it felt like it had this whole meta game built on top of it and some kind of a campaign that even if I play it co-op, it's still going to be some kind of a story. Like each of these heists, takes place within a campaign. You did this, then that went wrong, which means you had to do this heist, and that led to this, which meant to this heist, etc., etc. And it has like the feelings of that in there. But then I went and checked, and I started talking to people like, yeah, that's all going to get added into DLC. I was like, fuck, man, I'm playing it now. You just turned me off to your game because it's not complete. I don't care if it comes in
They never released it for
DLC.
$50.
What do you mean? The game itself never was paid?
Payday 2 is just $20. That's the difference.
Well,
Arma
that's
2,
true.
Arma 3
That's true.
is $50 right now. If you didn't buy it in alpha, you are paying $50 for a game without a single-player campaign that is promising one.
That's a good
Payday
point.
2 is an incomplete co-op shooter from a much smaller studio for $20. That's the difference in them, I think. Plus, Payday 2, the story is there. It's in a web series. They actually have a web series of it.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing something like that when I was looking at it, and it looked pretty cool. I watched an episode or two. But anyway, let's talk about Brink. Man.
Do we have to?
We do, because this is my answer to what was the most disappointing game, your shooter, and it's Brink.
To give some context on how disappointed Bridger is, there was a period of about a month where he would send me links to things that I needed to know because I was going to have to play this game with him.
I don't even remember that. I've blanked it out.
I do.
You bothered everyone you knew a lot about Brink, I feel.
That may be true.
And you know what it stopped? When it came out.
Yep. That's about right.
It promised so much and didn't deliver.
Yeah, I mean, it's splash damage, right? I mean, it was the guys behind the Return to Castle Wolfenstein multiplayer expansion known as Enemy Territory, which was a fantastic little multiplayer game, objective-based gameplay with slightly less realistic than Counter-Strike gunplay. So, you take a few more bullets, medics can heal people and bring them back to life, etc., etc. It was kind of the one that set the bar for class-based gameplay. Sort of the same kind of thing that many games have today with medics that revive people PlanetSide style. The thing about it, though, is it promised this whole kind of cool story happening and objective-based gameplay, and I don't even know what it was. But I feel like, for me, a lot of the problem came with these leveling up mechanics that really pissed me off when they revealed them. And then they detailed how, you're going to level up your soldier, your character, as you play it. And as a result, you could level up your medic abilities. But then you could have another character, but you couldn't switch characters in the middle of a match. So you'd wind up playing a medic or a heavy guy or a different class, but you're only really good at one thing. Like the meta character that you leveled up outside the in-game experience would then curb what you were willing to play in-game. So if my team needed a medic, but I was on my heavy soldier character, then I would have to say, fuck you, team. I can't. Somebody else has to be a medic because I would be a shitty medic. I'm going to stay on the character that I'm good at. And I hated that design, the forcing the player to choose between what's good for the team and what's good for themselves. That's a horrible concept. And then when they were going to have some kind of, I don't even remember what the hell the mechanic was. I think it was a voice chat. And they were going to make it opt-in instead of opt-out. And I tried to argue that defaults matter. And if you make it opt-in, nobody is going to listen and hear me. Because nobody is going to go into the menu and turn it on. Because they know that nobody else is going to turn it on. So they're not going to bother with it. If you go into a Team Fortress 2 match, the reason you hear everybody on voice comms is because it's a default, damn it. Everybody gets it. So you turn it on, and then if somebody's being an asshole, you turn them off and mute them. What the hell is the problem with that system? I don't know, but they decided that Brink needed to be opt-in so that nobody would use the voice comms. I argued so fucking much on that forum about that topic, and nobody would listen to me. Everybody's like, no, man, we don't want trolls. If you want voice comms, you can opt in and then talk to nobody. Thank you.
Were all of those people console shooter players?
Maybe.
I feel like
Probably.
maybe consoles need to be opt-in.
That might be true. But the other thing was that it felt wrong, and I don't even know how to explain it. But the gunplay wasn't as satisfying as one would hope. I mean, Matt, did you play it by any chance?
Yeah, I did because of you.
Oh no, I don't want to be that guy.
You're that
See,
guy.
this is why I have a long-running policy of not listening to Bridger.
Yeah. But anyway, no, he introduced me to PlanetSide 2 not sucking, and I actually have enjoyed it for the time I've been playing it, even though he long has abandoned it. So, anyway, Brink, yeah, there was just something not satisfying about the gunplay. The running mechanics were all right when you were just going over little obstacles, but they were clunky when you're trying to do wall runs and stuff like that. That like Warframe does much better, and it's just it was disappointing. You know what else was disappointing? Mass Effect 3.
Just the ending or the whole thing?
The ending and the whole thing. It was buggy on release. The shooter mechanics were incredibly generic. There was some cool stuff, but the overall execution of the story was like, let's just punch you in the balls. Okay, and then we're going to kick you in the balls, and then we're going to grind your face in your balls, and then here is the Mass Effect 3 ending. That was the entire arc of the story to me, and that's why I have not bought an EA product since. And even though I got the Humble Bundle, all of my money went to charity, so I still have not bought an EA product or even installed Origin to get the things that I got through that Humble Bundle since.
There you go. So, yeah. Speaking of Brink, Splash Damage, the same team, their new game is called Dirty Bomb, which supposedly has this pretty much, I think it's the same engine. I'm pretty sure it's the same engine as Brink.
Unpredictable bomb.
It's possible. We'll have to see if they learned anything, really.
We'll see.
They're making it a free-to-play game, I think. Because clearly the thing that was wrong with Brink is it didn't have enough fucking leveling bullshit going on in it. I think it's going to be free-to-play. They're doing the same kind of Founders packages and things that you see in, MechWarrior Online and Hawken and all those other free-to-play games. So I'm getting the impression that it's going to be a free-to-play game. I mean, look at this. $320 for the VIP Founder Pack, guys. You get access to the alpha. You get forum access, special developer IRC channels. Your name is in the credits. Let's see, what else? You get a beanie. Guys, you get a beanie. Here you go. And a hoodie, and a t-shirt, and a gun tag, and special characters in the game. And, God, how does that add up to $320? A digital art book. Not even a physical art book! You get a digital art book!
Hoodies can be kind of expensive.
I guess so. Here's the thing. This is the difference. This is kind of interesting, because you have, for example, Planetary Annihilation, which had a Kickstarter model, right? They had tiers. If you just bought the game at the cheapest price, it was like $25 or $30, and I think it came with beta access. But if you wanted to get in with the alpha, it was like $90, right? That was one of the things that you got for paying $90 to the Kickstarter, is you got alpha access. And they kept that strong. If you went to Steam right now, it's $70 to buy the game because it's early. So they start with a high price early, and the price goes down as you go closer to release. And you were just talking about how Arma had a low price at the beginning and then goes up to encourage people to buy early. It's so weird that we have completely backwards models.
And whose is working right?
I don't know.
There was a lot of people who got Arma 3 in the alpha, I think, because they recognized the value. And it was predominantly people who got Arma 2, Operation Arrowhead, specifically because of DayZ, and then went in and tried it out and actually kind of liked it. That's my guess, which is why it's disappointing that there's no single player.
It depends on the victory conditions, I guess. I mean, if you want to make a pure capitalist argument, then maybe Arma wins. But if you want to make a what's better for consumers and possibly the health of the game, then I don't have any hard evidence, but be willing to wager the Planetary Annihilation model.
That might be right.
Because then you only get people who want to be into the alpha so much that they're willing to pay $90. The people who really want to give you feedback, who care about what your product's going to look like, giving you feedback.
That's a good point. The other thing, I mean, we look at this and we say $320. Are you really pricing your game at $320? No. I think of this kind of a thing the same way that people want to fund something on Kickstarter. They pay more because they want to see it happen. Like, I've got some extra cash. These guys deserve it. Here's your extra cash. These guys aren't charging $320 for their game. And to their credit, I'm looking here, and this does not say that you get like some 7,000 credits, you know, of like elite currency for signing up early or for getting this. So maybe it's not one of those free-to-play bullshit games. I would be very happy about that if they didn't do that. So I might have to take a look at this. I do have a closed alpha key because I just signed up. I didn't actually pay for it. I just signed up for, you know, the alpha list, and I got a random email. So maybe I should try it out. Look at these quotes. Not had this much fun since Wolf Enemy Territory. The new old school FPS captures the magic of enemy territory. A lot of really dedicated Splash Damage fans playing this game. So I might have to try this out. I don't think I can stream it or anything because it's still in closed alpha, but I maybe can give you guys just a hint of my main thoughts without actually revealing any details.
You know, you can give it to us in the form of a sound effect. You can be like, yeah, or like, or Brink. Those are your three options.
That could work, actually. So, okay, let's move on. Brink was sad. Mass Effect 3 was sad. PlanetSide 2 was sad. What about your favorite moments? Because I know there are a couple of moments, if I try to think back, like they're just locked in my brain forever. And my favorite one, my absolute favorite one, and god damn it, I wish I had Fraps running or something at the time, but it was Battlefield 1942. And let me set the scene. So it was Wake Island. I was one of the invading Japanese. We had captured the beach or I landed on the beach. I don't remember, but I started on the beach. Either I came on a boat or I just spawned in there. I ran up from the beach to the road that runs from the airport down to that southern capture point. And I got to the road, and I decided I wanted to go steal a plane or cap the airport or something. So for whatever reason, I took a turn and went up the hill towards the airport. As I crested the top of the hill, by the way, it is important to know that I am playing as a anti-tank character with the bazooka thing, the Japanese equivalent. So I crest the hill, and I immediately see, not 10 feet away, going at full speed straight at me down the road, an enemy Jeep. Almost without thinking, just pure reflex, I fire whatever I happen to have in my hand, and I was doing that thing like, I got nothing to do, so I'm switching between my weapons, and it just happened to be my bazooka. And I fire the bazooka at this Jeep hurling at me at like 40 miles an hour. And it explodes, and then everything goes into slow motion. Not really, but I remember it happening this way. It's so weird. Because the Jeep itself explodes, and the shell, the husk of what is left, flies over my head. As I turn and look, I'm like, whoa. And as I turn all the way around and I look behind me, there is a Sherman tank riding up the hill that was mere moments from flattening me. He didn't want to shoot me. He decided just to run me over because I was just running up the hill and he didn't notice. I didn't notice him. And the husk of the Jeep flies over my head and crashes into the Sherman, and the Sherman explodes, and I got 4 kills. That was one of the best moments in my entire gaming career, and I didn't have Fraps running. God damn it. It was so epic. So I don't know about you guys, but that was my favorite thing ever. What about you? Army Knife, you got anything you can remember?
Yeah, I got a couple of really good stories from the Hidden, and that's what that game was the best at generating, was awesome stories that you could tell people. I think simply because of how unbalanced it was between, well, it was pretty balanced, but how seemingly unbalanced it was. The first of these two, I have a couple of stories. They're pretty quick. The first of them was I was playing on the human side because that was the side that everybody is if they don't kill the Hidden. And everybody got annihilated by this guy who was really fucking good. He wasn't even using the insta-jib attack. He was cutting people to ribbons and knocking their health down slowly. And he just managed to take out all of our team, except for this one guy who was still really new at the game. So this was on a map that had a few physics objects, because this was a Half-Life 2 mod, early in the Half-Life 2 scene, so there was still a lot of physics-enabled stuff. So this guy is walking around upstairs in this kind of like decrepit train yard with junk laying around, and there are tires, car tires, just the rubber tires, laying around. And the hidden decides to fuck with this guy. I mean, really fuck with him. So he picks up a tire, and this guy looks at this tire come off the ground and start floating in front of him. He doesn't realize that means there's the enemy right in front of him. He's just looking at this floating tire, and then the hidden throws the tire at him. And we're talking about like maybe 5 health worth of damage at 10. It's like it's barely any damage. He throws the tire at the guy and jumps away, and the guy's like, ugh. It's just kind of the sound effect from getting hit by the tires. And my best friend at the time was watching over my shoulder while this is happening. This is back in high school. And then goes and picks up another tire and throws it into him from behind. And he just keeps throwing tires at this guy with the sound effect. And so my friend goes over me. The next time he gets hit like the 4th or 5th tire, he goes, oh, fucking tires.
Oh, man.
And then the guy just finishes him off with tires. I had no clue what was happening. The second wonderful moment that I really wish I had recorded. I wish I had video of this. I wish I had like hidden cameras in my brother's room. Because my brother and I would play this game. We'd go find a server together, and his room was down the hallway from me. And he had a friend over. They were both. He brought his friends. His friend brought his computer over. They were both playing on the same server, and I was the hidden. And I was a pretty good hidden back in the day. I'd love to play another game like this. I may decide to make one because Unity's awesome, and I need a game like this again. So there's this map that's the sewers, right? It's a sewer map. It's dark, and there's one room where the players all spawn. Now, the cool thing about this spawn room is that there's a vent, one of those Half-Life 2 air vent things in the roof.
Of course, big enough for a person to fit in.
Yeah,
like all
exactly.
air vents in reality.
Yes, and so way up, there's this large drop on it, and then you head vertical, and it leads to somewhere else in the map. Well, all of the human players decided to hole up in that room, and the advantage of doing that for them was there's water on both the entryways, and so the hidden, when he walks, of course, is going to splash up water. So they thought, okay, we'll know when he's coming. We have all of our guys hidden in the corners. We all have lines of fire and everything. I noticed that they're in there from the air vent, and when I looked down in the air vent, there's one of the human players watching a doorway directly underneath the air vent. So I'm like, all right, I got this. I jump forward, go flying down, time my pig stick, because it was a timed attack, like it took a little bit to charge up and hit, smashed through the vent, slammed my pig stick into this guy. He jibs. I hop out of the room. I hear from down the hall my brother and his friend just start screaming, yes! And they open fire. All the humans start open firing. I'm way the hell out of there, and everybody's shooting. And I see like 2 or 3 people get killed by their own teammates just because they set up a crossfire situation. They're all just shooting, and they kept shooting for a good 30 seconds after I was no longer there. I just killed that guy and got out. I really loved screwing with people in that game. I miss it.
Oh man, now that makes me want to go and get like Far Cry or Crysis 2 or Crysis 3 or something.
I believe this mod is still on Steam, and you can still host a game and you can still play it with your friends. You can get a bunch of your friends together and play it.
All right. Well, let's finish up here. Did you have any stories you wanted to share, Rob?
Yeah, I had one. I didn't list it, but here I sent you an image to put up to provide some context. So this was from Team Fortress 2. The year was late 2007, possibly early 2008, and this is Point B of the Dust Bowl map.
Mm-hmm. The second stage of the Dust Bowl map.
So over in that corner, kind of near the back left of the image, the one under the coal company sign, engineers would always set up sentries there. So what you would do is you would come either through that little tunnel or through that little doorway above it, Ubered so that you couldn't be hit, and try to take it out. And I was a pyro, and I had a medic Ubering me, and we jump off of that ledge, and I go for the turret, and I get shot 100 feet in the air. Just straight up. And then luckily my teammates were all behind me. We had a big coordinated push going, and a demo man takes it out, and I just see for a few seconds, also kind of in slow motion, my team and the enemy team fighting, before I realize I'm no longer Ubered and falling is gonna hurt.
Yep. You got a bird's eye view there for a short period of time.
Yeah, so I land on the point and start capturing it, and nobody else on my team is getting up there with me. They're just fighting and dying. And the enemy team spawns, and they come out from that space on the left. And there are people, and I've taken so much damage from the fall and getting shot out of it, I have about 5 HP left. So I'm crouched on that point, just standing toward the back as much as I can, going like, "Oh God, please, no one come up here."
Nobody noticed.
Nobody, and a couple people tried to get up, but I kept air blasting them off. And I was like, "Nope, go fight, go fight." And now I have no ammo left because I've air blasted it all away, 25 at a time. I have 5 HP, but the skirmish lasted long enough that we win the match right as a time delayed. If the demo man's grenade launchers didn't hit you immediately,
Oh, yep.
they would sit there. So I'm sitting there going, I can't leave this point because then we're gonna lose. Because we had very little time left. It was a last-ditch push. But I can't stay here because I have 5 HP and there's a grenade. And I'm watching the time delay between the end of the match, the end of me capturing this point, and the grenade going off, and going, this is going to be close.
Oh, man.
A second before I cap the point and then immediately explode.
TF2's good like that, man. I love the kind of emergent stuff that happens in that game. Oh, it's so much fun. All right, final point. Any big shooters that you guys are looking forward to? Anything that you're hoping to see in the near future?
Can we see the DayZ standalone alpha soon, Rocket? Please. And I don't know if it counts.
Are they using the Arma 3 engine for that?
No, they are using a highly customized variant of the Take-On Helicopters engine, which is another simulator based around the Real Virtuality engine that was around the time of Arma 2, but optimized for vehicle code, and Rocket had some very good reasons for running with that, even though they've actually updated the skeleton and the model rigging to the Arma 3 standards. So it's a hodgepodge of stuff, but it looks like it's going to be really awesome. And Star Citizen, I will include that there for a couple of reasons.
One, it's a 6 degrees of freedom shooters count as shooters.
Well, no, it's not a 6 DOF shooter. It's a space sim. There is a difference.
Oh, okay. Well, educate me. What's the difference?
Difference is a 6 DOF shooter is typically within a confined environment. It doesn't have to be. Like Minor Wars is a 6 DOF. And the ship generally can move in any one of those 6 degrees of freedom with the exact same equality. You know, it is a free choice, and the thrust applies equally no matter how you're moving or rotating.
Gotcha.
Anybody can come from any angle. Space sims are more like flying planes in space, or they can be much more simulator, and actually like with completely Newtonian physics. 6 DOFs typically do not have Newtonian physics. You let go of your button, you stop thrusting, you stop moving. So it's a space sim, but it's also got first and third person shooter mechanics depending on your camera, where you capture and board ships and take them over and kill the crew because you're fucking pirates, or you're pirates of pirates, or whatever. You're defending your ship. So it's gonna have actual shooter stuff with all kinds of cool weapons, and it's got a lot going for it. And I'm excited for the dogfighting alpha, which I believe is later this year.
No, I don't think that's coming out until January, February next year. Did they say later this year?
Yeah, and my camera's off.
Damn.
I've got a weird picture going on in my... Yep.
There you go. Sorry.
But yeah, I believe
Rob.
it's later this year. If it's not, then I'm completely wrong, and I need to read my news some more. But I'm pretty sure, because they've been working really hard on it.
All right, well, I'm definitely looking forward to that, too. Star Citizen is one of the most exciting games that I am hoping to see.
Ever.
You know, to be honest, though, I'm also looking forward to Battlefield 4 if it doesn't suck. Like, it probably won't, but man, did Battlefield 3 have problems when it first came out, right? So...
And since.
But, I mean, it's even then, though, Battlefield 3 is an incredibly fun game. And it has, sort of a more realistic feel and vibe to it than PlanetSide 2 does, and from an immersion point of view, I really do like that. It does feel like, holy shit, get down, the fucking bullets are gonna kill you, and they're stuff like blowing up everywhere. So if they can improve even further upon the whole, exploding pieces of the map gameplay, then I'm very much waiting and watching to see what happens with Battlefield 4. That's probably the closest one to coming out that I'm looking forward to. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. If Dirty Bomb winds up being good, that would be happy times, but I don't know if it will.
Battlefield 4, I don't know. I'm worried that they're getting locked into the EA. Let's increase the number cycle, because it's not been very long since 3, and typically DICE takes a very long time to release a completely new numbered iteration of Battlefield. And Rookblaw confirmed for me December this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Star Citizen is coming out with its alpha, and so so long as that's still on track, like I said, this year in December we're going to be able to dogfight. It's going to be awesome.
Man,
and if
it's
you want
probably gonna
that,
it's the very first version is probably gonna be shit, but it could very well get better fairly quickly.
It may be shit, but it's probably going to be a lot of fun, like slinging shit at people.
Yeah. I pledged for it. I'm in over $100 with my freelancers, so
I know.
I might have to pick up a Hornet if they have a sale. Damn it.
So what I was going to say is, if you still want that immersion, give one of the Arma games a try. They have free light versions of them with low-res textures that you can completely try for free. Give those a try, because I have never encountered a game with as nice a sound engineering as the Arma games that really delivers the feeling of shooting and being shot at real combat ranges, and so you're actually engaging with assault rifles at the ranges you're supposed to engage with them. And you're getting into firefights, so you can't see the people easily, and it's mostly cover fire. And when a bullet comes when a bullet's near you, you hear a hiss. When it comes right over your head, you hear the crack. And it's got delayed based on distance, so it's properly delayed. So you'll see explosion in the distance. Wait, why didn't I hear it in most games? And then boom, you hear it. So it's got all of that going for it. So give it a try with the light version.
I've actually put Arma. I've put Arma on my Steam wish list. The first time that goes on a decent sale, like 25 or 30%, I might pick that up.
And try the light version, because I believe there should be a free light version. You can give it a try for free, see if you like the mechanics and the sound. The only thing that's low res are the textures.
But the thing that would be automatic money, and fucking I don't care if it's EA. Well, I do care, but my passion and desire for this to come true would override any and all common good sense about the fact that it's EA, and that's if they announced a Battlefield 1944 on the Battlefield 4 engine. I would just throw my wallet at the screen without hesitation, without even looking. If they just announced that, I would have it. Unless it was for console again. Oh my fucking. Battlefield 1943 came out on consoles only. It was my dream, and then they crushed it by putting it on consoles.
That's what EA does, Bridger. It crushes your dreams, and your dreams in particular.
This is true. Them and Sony.
They're sitting here watching your stream right now. What can we do to him?
Exactly. Oh, man. All right. Anything you're looking forward to, Rob, from the shooter genre?
I mean, if you want to count Mighty Number 9.
It kind of counts. We'll count that.
Yeah, and that's looking way forward. That's Q2 of 2015.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I guess with that, we're a bit well over time, so we should probably call it a night. And thank you guys for joining me. We've had a good discussion, a lot of good memories. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Then for that, let's head out. See you guys later. I'm going to go log in to PlanetSide 2 and then log back out again just to get my free certs. And then I'm going to probably do that until they patch in some more stuff with the game.
You know what? Since TL abandoned you, Bridger, come join us at the Black Square.
No, I have an NC that I've leveled up to level 30. There's no way.
Just make a throwaway for Friday Night Ops.
I must. Laser lights. Laser lights.
Every battle is a pew-pew battle when you're Banu.
All right, there we go. Cut off. All right, guys. Rook's playing at PS2 right now. I might come join you. For reals. I'm feeling an itch right now. So I will. I'll be signing off the stream, guys, because unfortunately, PlanetSide 2 is still too sexy for my stream. I can't. I can't stream
And
it.
I have to go. So good night, guys.
See you later.
Yeah, night. I'm probably going to be playing Mercenary Kings.
Okay.
I think.
Oops.